Hey YouTube, how's it going? Lawler here. We've got Major this week and a lot to discuss, but in today's video, and one we've actually had pretty heavily requested, people want to know the Major storylines. People want to know about the teams, what their kind of general narrative is going in, and what they're playing for. So today's video, we're going to go from the low seed all the way to the high seed. We're going to go region by region. We're going to talk about what happened this split, how they ended up making the Major, and then if there's any major narratives for them, like, hey, this team needs to get this placement so they can do this thing. Hey, there's some cool things about this player coming back to land. Stuff like that. So if you guys enjoy this type of content, make sure you guys hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Helps me out immensely as we slowly try to grow our channel. Any of those interactions definitely help. But with that said, we're going to jump in. We're going to start with a kind of quick introduction into the teams we're talking about, just as a visual, because I'm a visual learner, and hopefully you guys are too. But we have 16 teams here. We're going to start with the lows and work all the way through, all the way up, based upon the expectation of the region, so on and so forth. As a general thing to keep in mind, though, based upon how, it doesn't matter if you're the first seed of your region or the last seed of your region, however you perform makes a big difference for who gets the like last chance qualifiers, the LCQ spot, based upon the average placement. Keep that in mind. That stuff is pretty important for the World Championship. So just as a general blanket statement, the performance of how you do as a region makes a big difference for average major placement points to unlock an additional spot for your region and LCQs to follow. So first things first, we're going to talk about Foot. Foot, if you guys do not know, is a full import team. It is VK Salen, the Oro, and Torres. This is a team that many do not like, for two reasons. One, because they're a full import team taking the spot from an SSA roster that is localized. Second thing is they've been pretty toxic online and outward facing about it. They could be humble. They could be like, you know, we accept the situation, but they decide to double down and basically become the villain. This is a team that has not performed well internationally. While they are competitive in their matches and they do have 1-goal games to show for it against some pretty high profile teams, they are 0-3 at international competition. Everybody liked that meme introduced here. People do not want this team to win. They want this team to basically say, hey, you guys aren't that good. You're at best top 32, top 64 team in the EU, and you had to go to a minor region and take their spot. Shame on you. That is all we got to say about Foot. In contrast to that, that does get a little bit more respect, is multiple parts. If you guys do not know, Luminosity picked up the team of Sphinx, Sosa, and Catalysm. They, as a team, doing a bit of the same thing. 2/3 of their roster, one from Canada, one from Germany, going over to the APAC region and joining a player who we adore in Sphinx. Very young, talented kid, local to the region. Very, very good. I think he lives in Malaysia, if I could be wrong on that. Used to have a team with like LCT and stuff. But this team has gone through some different changes. They did go and compete at the Major last time, and they got 2 out of 3. They were super close. They were super close to actually qualifying for top 8. They went 2 and 3 in Swiss. They were actually just there. So they are competitive. They have showcased talent and that they can run with the best of them. This split has been pretty dominant. The only reason we bring up this next tab is Movistar. There is another import team in this region in APAC with Doe, Ocelon, and Tecos, all Europeans going over to compete. They got picked up by Movistar Koi, if you guys don't know, Abai, very large streamer. It's his organization. Picked them up for an opportunity to potentially go and play upset and steal the spot as well in the APAC region. And shoutouts to Sphinx, they were able to defend. It wasn't enough. Their efforts were completely useless. They could not win a single time. While sure, they got second place every single time, they never won. Some of these were earth-whacking. So game 7 and 2 of them, that's actually pretty scary to look at times. But they are able to hold on to their spot, and they do end up conceding. Shortly after, Luminosity does what Luminosity does best. Number one is not pay their players. Unfortunately, Luminosity is not a good organization. Can't recommend them. They got an in-game esports decal. They got Virtus Pro to buy out their roster for probably way too much. And now VP is in and Luminosity is out. So that's where we're at. So Virtus Pro is the new APAC representation. This is the former LG roster, much of the same. I would expect these guys to go and be competitive. Mostly for Sphinx, Obviously, I like some of the guys on the roster. No hard feelings. I think that they're the epitome of why a restriction, like an international trade rule, needs to be put into place. You need to at least have a majority of local talent on your team before you can then transition into bringing in import talent. My hope is that, okay, Sphinx and other localized player is going to be there. One split goes by, you bring in another international talent if you choose to do so. But I do think there should be a 2/3 rule for international. I think this is a prime example of why we feel for like, hey, there is good homegrown talent, and it should stay that way. Everybody's rooting for Sphinx. He's a good kid. He's really talented. He's showcasing that he can be that guy. Up next, we've got TSM. TSM has been kind of topsy-turvy. They did not have a good first split and ended up missing out. But they do clutch up 2 top 4s and then a first place in the final one against Chiefs, which was for the major spot. It was actually really important for them to do so. So congrats to TSM for making it through. I've heard scrims have been kind of topsy-turvy for these guys. It hasn't gone great. But Amphis, Super Locky, and Kaka trying to do their best to their ability to go and compete on a global level. This is a team that has not performed well at majors as the OCE 2 seed. They definitely need to step it up. They have regressed this year, to say the least. On the other side, it is the tried and true. It is Wildcard. Torsos, who has not missed a major since the kid has been born, basically what it feels like. He has been to the most international events, I think, out of any player outside of JNAPS. Now that JNAPS is retired and Shopify is not making it, he kind of takes over that record. So Torsos has been there. He's the old man. He always finds a way to make the major. Even Banana Head is objectively the best player in the region. He has proven that he can 1v3 at times and can really step up. This is a team that also brought KC to 5 and 1. So this is a team that many people this is the barrier of entry. Like, if you can go toe-to-toe against Wildcard, you should feel pretty good about your roster. You can go and compete. They play weird. They play aggressive. They don't really think. And I know that sounds terrible, but they are just, we're going to beat you to the ball. We're going to play super aggressive. We're going to make you work for it and try to beat you with our mechanics. We're going to do some really dumb stuff. We're going to throw possession. We're going to do some really goofy stuff. But as like a base level, if you can beat Wildcard, you should be at least part of the conversation to make top 8. Historically, this team always usually gets to round 5, but in Birmingham, they did not. They went 1-3. So they actually, again, also regressed. They started the split really strong, going first place, and then got knocked out by that TSM team that inevitably went on to win. So a little bit of depth in OCE outside of the top 2, but it is basically a 3-4 team region. But one remain constant is that Wildcard will be there, whether it's TSM, whether it's Chiefs, whether it's Power, the rest are fighting. So it's going to be TSM and Wildcard. Wildcard is one of those rosters. Up next, Twisted Minds. This is a roster that many people believe there is some talent to it. If you guys do not know the Twisted Minds team, this is Atomic and Rise, both from Europe, coming over and joining Nalpo. Nalpo will be competing in the Ones tournament as well, up against Diaz. Should be a very fun show match. But Nalpo popped off in Birmingham. He is a very talented individual player. Can they recreate that? So far in this split, I think they've regressed. I do not think they've had the same level of polish. There's been times so far this split where I look at them and go, man, that is some awful gameplay. Like, flopping about, everybody's just off. I don't know if it's complacency or what, or just that assumption that they're going to be the second team. They did get punched in the mouth a couple times by that new team, Team Rock, as you guys can see here. So they are not and have not been the immediate, like, we're going to the grand finals, we're playing against Falcons, which kind of segues really well into the next one, which is Team Falcons. Team Falcons really shirt up. I also think Falcons has kind of looked up and down. They haven't looked as polished as they normally do. But what remains true is they are first place in every single event. First place in Open 4, 5, and 6. Nothing to lose there. When they come to majors, they're going to be locked in. This is a team that is the bar of consistency. Many people believe them as being a top 4, and that's kind of a shoe-in. Even last major, they had 2 Game 7s against teams that found themselves very far in the bracket. Energy, and I forget the other one off the top of my head, but it was a team that will always put up a fight. They will always have a barrier level of entry that makes them competitive. Their consistency is usually what allows them to be that team that you can't mess with. They're going to make you work for it in the truest sense. This is basically wild card on steroids in every capacity. Every player is better individually. Like, my only concern is TRK. Can TRK continue to have the impact that he has? Can Clear step up and help out? Rawas, to me, is one of those guys where you put him in the top 10 conversation. So, Falcons, a lot of expectations, even though I personally, in my own personal rankings, probably put them in like a 5-6 spot. I just want to see them kind of get back to that ascension. We have not seen them be in the top 3 conversation, in the RLCS at least, in a while, in my opinion. I would put the other teams ahead of them 9 out of 10 times. Over to South America, we've got Team Secret. Team Secret has done a pretty good job of keeping themselves in the running. Nobody else has really stood a chance in this region. It's been a two-team region all year long, and that remains true. They did finally get over the hurdle of losing to Furia in the grand finals, as you guys can see here. It happens a lot. Loss and a loss every single time. But this time, they start off with a win, and then they get swept twice by Furia. Team Secret is one of those sneaky teams where they can play upset. I had them as my wild card actually last major. I don't see it this time. I do think they have taken a step back as well against international competition. The player to really pay attention to, in my opinion, has to be Swift. KV1 and Mota are always really talented. KV1 in particular does get a lot of that attention, but Swift came in as the new kid on the block and has expected to make an impact, and he has. So can he do that on international territory? I do think so. Unfortunately for them, though, they got to deal with their counterpart in Furia. Furia's cracked. They're super good. Yan is always really, really good on land. To me, Lost had the best performance of his career in London, Birmingham, wherever you, in England. Let's go with England. We'll say England. But Lost is so good, and we haven't even mentioned Drufinho yet. Furia is a good team. They have become multifaceted as of late. I don't think they're the one-trick pony that they used to be. They do control possession a lot better. They do switch up their aggression. But they're fast, they're aggressive, they're in your face. That's the one thing to expect out of the South American teams, is they are going to be wicked aggressive. But it is exciting to see them have a little bit less templated offense, which makes them threatening. My eyes are on Lost. If he can recreate that performance, they'll be a force to be mentioned. The kind of funny storyline is somehow, some way, Furia and Vitality always find a way to play each other in Swiss. Whether that happens again this time, just know that they'll probably play each other in bracket, and whoever won in Swiss will lose in bracket play. It has happened like 4 times without fail. Currently, my predictions, which make sure you guys tune in to, will be out tomorrow. I actually don't have them playing in Swiss as of this moment, so we'll see how that plays out. It's gonna be pretty interesting. But Furia is a team that many consider being a top 5, top 4 team. They're pretty good. Up next, we're getting into North America. The low seed right now is Ultimates. Ultimates went 2nd place at the major the first time around, and since then have had a bit of regression. Some of that has been out of their hands. If you take a look at their specific results, it's a little bit hard to kind of really articulate. The first one, again, had a really good start, and then they ran into NRG in a top 6 match. They went through lowers. NRG dropped down after an upset, and they played each other in that lower round, and they got eliminated. So it went to game 7. It was super competitive, and we're like, okay, Ultimates is still here. 2nd place at the major wasn't a fluke. Dope. They then had LJ deal with internet issues, and LJ had them DQ'd. They had to go through lowers again, and then they got eliminated by a new hot Genji, who we'll talk about next. So again, 2 big losses, and the one that is inexcusable is against a team that is new kids on the block. They should not be conceding that if you were a true number 2 in the region. So they regress a little bit there. Then in the final one, we get to see them come a little bit back to form, where they do end up conceding to Space Station in the grand finals. So really rough starts, but ultimately are able to clutch up and do what they need to do in the final one. So they come in as the low seed. A lot of the conversation around First Killer is he has not been able to win it. Every time they go to a regional final with LJ, not able to win it. There's a lot of mental blockades for this team. On land, though, they usually do show up. On land, this is a team that I would not take lightly. I can tell you my stocks on them are a little bit lower than some of the other teams that are showing natural progression. This new generation, this really high strung, like, we got to practice, we got to grind, good work ethic type. Ultimates to me has some concerns, but FK's got to find a way to lift that trophy, man. Can he do it on home soil? I don't know. It's going to be tough. Up next, we got Gen G. This one is one I'm selfishly a big fan of. They've gone through some topsy-turvy transitions. It used to be Reddles, Cheese, and Magic Bear. Reddles is now with Shopify Rebellion, and they brought in Justin. So an even firm handshakes trade. Justin came in, immediate impact. Justin has been able to hold down the midfield really, really well. Magic Bear and Cheese feel like they're on a whole different level. They still will fall into similar habits. They'll still go and demo when they need to, but for the most part, Magic Bear and Cheese seem unlocked. They seem like they're playing fluid. It seems like they're having a really good time. My personal favorite storyline, I think, in all of North America, people got to remember during the offseason, there was talks of them getting rid of Cheese. It was supposed to be Magic Bear, Reddles, and Chronic. Chronic ended up going to Ultimates, as we just talked about. So Cheese got to keep his spot. I talked to Cheese when that happened, and I said, hey, man, where's your mental now knowing you were going to be kicked? Like, you were actively being replaced, and then they did a whoopsie and went right back on it. Where's your mentality? And he said, and I quote, it just shows to me that I need to work harder. It shows to me that I am replaceable and that I need to put in the time. What matters most is everybody on this roster has the same goal, and we want to win. Here we are, 4 months later. Not only is he playing the best he's ever looked in his career, he's going to a major and looking dang strong doing it. If you don't know who to root for, I think Gen G is a very easy pick, specifically for Cheese. The second storyline that's really cool about this team, Justin has not been to a world championship or international competition in 3 years. Not since 21-22 world championship has Justin been able to play in front of a crowd. If he makes top 8, he gets to do that again. I don't know any other player that has had that kind of resurgence in their career. Justin was the key puzzle piece last year for every team. Where does Justin go? We'll figure it out after we figure out who gets Justin. There is a reason he is in a team. It is the teamiest team in all of Rocket League in North America. All these guys are bought in. They're coaching, their staff. They all hang out together. They all play matches together. I think they were all playing rematch together actually last night. I saw it, but like this team is bought in as a collective. It is exactly what I wish I got to be a part of because everybody is there hanging out. Everybody is there for one simple goal, and it is a great environment for exactly what Justin needs, and that is showing. I think this team could definitely play upset. They are one of the dark horses, I think, in North America that many people do not expect. So, very, very fun team. That is Gen G. Third seed coming in for NA. Up next, we've got Space Station, the Young Kids. If you guys do not know, the Snowmen story. This is basically the 3 youngest and most talented players coming in during the offseason. Usually you see young talent plucked up, and they go their separate ways. They decided, heck that, we're staying together. There was some turmoil with one of their players in Frosty, who is now with Complexity, and they decided to bring in Kofer, who is with 9 Lives. Kofer is a demo demon. He is averaging 4 demos a game, and he is so good at it. It is chaos. I did not expect this team to be as demo heavy as they are, but they are absurd with it. Kofer leads the charge. He is basically what Frosty was, but more consistent, and it seems like more bought into the system. What Xperia is building. Scribble's revealing Kofer. Reveal to me is the best player on the team. His positional awareness, his touches are incredible. The guy just understands how to play the game. He may not be the one scoring all the goals, but you best believe he's getting an assist. So Reveal and the rest of the guys are all very talented. The only concern, first LAN appearance. Will the young kids deal with the pressure well? Historically, we've seen that with this new generation. They don't really care. They don't really feel the consequence. They're too young to know the weight of what is going on here. So this should be a very exciting roster. This should be a really fun one to watch. They went 4th place, then 2nd place, then 1st place in Open 4, 5, 6. They have ascended. They have accomplished everything they want to. This is a very hot-handed team. If I am playing Space Station, I want them early, not late as they warm up throughout the days. Should be a very fun team to watch, a very easy team to root for. And then last but not least, it's Energy. It's the Big Bad Energy. Many would argue this is the 2nd best team in the world, not just in North America. It is the powerhouse super team with Atomic Beast Mode and Daniel. Daniel, historically the GOAT online, while Beast Mode the GOAT in person. Atomic, a bar of consistency. His shots, his accuracy are what allow them to push forward. That being said, Energy has had some ups and downs, but I think over the last probably 2 events and the last month as well, they have found that form. Energy is looking really, really strong. They will punish you for every little mistake that you do. There was this big narrative during the open seasons that like they're playing defensive. No, it's just the other teams are playing really aggressively and really defensively, and they find themselves on defense. They still have intentions to move up and play offense. They just have had a more difficult time of sustaining it. That is one of the difficulties of being the top. Everybody is building a style to beat you. They do that. They show competition. Now it's your ability to adjust. That is the chess match that is Rocket League. So Energy figures out that they are still one step ahead, putting you in checkmate. Whether they can continue to do so, we'll find out. But this is a team everybody expects to make to the grand finals. There is a lot of pressure on this roster at all times because they are the team. They are the super team. They've got one of the biggest fan bases. It's not just Energy, it's the former G2 as well. So a lot of pressure on this roster. Usually they live up to that expectation though. So pretty good stuff for Energy. They're looking to make it back to the grand finals. They did not perform that great at the last major. They looked a little faulty. Despite that, still doing pretty good. Over to Europe, we've got one of my favorite teams in Gentlemates Alpine. If you guys don't know, Seiko and Juicy. Gentlemates, during the offseason, they got rid of Itachi. They brought in Radosin. Radosin didn't work out. They had a really, really, really rough first split. They then brought in Eugen, young French talent, and have shown a lot of progress since. The comparisons that I've had for Eugen has been similar to that of like a Raleigh or a Zen coming into one of these superstar teams. You've got 2 really well-known talent. 2 really talented players, and his job and his role is to basically not make mistakes. Lock down the back line, enable your offense, let the 2 veterans cook. As he's built more confidence, this team has looked better and better and better. Really, really dominant, really aggressive, hitting crazy shots that are making your ownership be like, damn, this kid's good. Their results in particular have been consistent top 4s. They've been doing a really good job. The more important thing is they are beating the big names. Outside of Dignitas, their losses are coming from K-Corp, and that's it. It's something to be said. The other thing that's really important about this team, against the best team in the world that is K-Corp, they're the only one consistently taking off matches. Consistency is important, and to show that you can go toe-to-toe and actually make the best team in the world fight for it compared to the others is a very good sign. So good to see that out of the Gentlemates roster. I think this team, a lot of people have a hard time rating because they have not seen them internationally. I think this team could play pretty big upset. This is my dark horse team. I think this team is going to be a threat. My only concern is, can they translate it on LAN? From the scrims I've seen, it's been kind of hit and miss. But I think this team, if they get the ball rolling, should be very, very good. To me, this is like the Gen G of EU. Next, we've got Team Vitality. Vitality has been pretty hit and miss. As you guys know, and in my opinions, as I've shared, this is a team that on LAN looks better. I think they are very much so a position, very aggressive challenge, be in the right place, the right time type team. But the reality is when we look at these results, people go, yeah, that's not that bad. Second place, 3-4, 3-4. Top 4 every single time, and everybody's like, they're dog water. They're abysmal. To which I would say, yeah, they haven't looked that great. They've looked faulty. They've looked shaky. Exotic has not had the impact he once had. But Zen is like doing everything he can to make this team successful. Zen is putting this team on his back. And if that's what they're getting with basically 1v3 with Zen, I can't imagine when the other 2 step up to the plate, which historically they do on LAN. That being said, my stocks on Vitality are a bit low. I used to have them as a top 3, top 5 in the world. Now I have some struggles of where to put them. I would put them at like 5, 6 right now, depending on where you want to put Falcons. Like if I had Vitality and Falcons play, I honestly don't know who to go. I don't. And I think that's exciting. So Vitality historically has shown that they can be good, but they, even last major, did have some pretty big errors, some pretty big mishaps that they got away with murder on. So whether they run into Furia or not is going to be kind of the big decider, but I think Vitality to me is an anomaly. You got to understand, former world champs, really, really talented team, can pull it out when they need to. Monkey Moon the 2-time, like, this team still is very, very good, and you should not take them lightly. They are not, no matter how faulty they look, going to lose to teams lesser than them. They will, without a doubt, in my opinion, find themselves in a very, very tight, either round 5 in Swiss, fighting for their lives, and it's going to be a nail-biter, or they will be in the top 8 guaranteed. I don't see any other way. It just depends on how the bracket plays out, because there is no easy matches anymore. Swiss is brutal. Up next, we got Dignitas, the surprise for the split. We were curious on their results. They've been kind of hit and miss. They had a really rough performance, I think, in the major. They 1000% should have made top 8, but a couple faulty decisions. They came in and did end up losing in that first one to a Vitality that we thought they could have ended up winning. They went, I think, 2-0 in that series and then conceded. I forget the exact amount. But after that, they immediately bounced back and they took a Game 7 Grand Finals in Open 5 over KC. Since then, their only losses come from KC. Dignitas has been extremely polished online. In this first event, Stizzy looked non-existent. A bunch of mistakes, a bunch of issues. Everybody was dogging on him. I did not expect that to be the same. The team has really found their form. They are really playing well. Yoris is starting to get more involved as well, which has been really exciting. Across the board, I think Dignitas has done a really good job. It is crazy to see both Jack and Yoris go back to Dignitas all these years later, and a lot of comparisons in personality from Stizzy to Scrub Killer when they ran it that last time. So this is a very exciting team. I know they left a lot on the table and they have a lot of expectations to move forward with. If you guys don't know Caleb, who used to work at Dignitas, who now does a lot of freelance videography and stuff, he did put out a documentary with them for their first split. I would recommend going and watching it. It's a great 40-minute video about their story and what's going on. Really, really well done. But I think there's a lot left on the table. This team has shown consistency, but there will always be that concern of how is this team going to play on LAN. There has been some faltering from their players on LAN when the going gets tough. Can they find a way through it, especially when the competition is going to be so strict? A hot start is going to be so important. And even still, if you start 1-0, 2-0, and you go to the 2-1 round, those matches only get harder. So it is nothing, nothing is free this major. You'll see that in predictions tomorrow, how difficult it truly is going to be for me to pick on some of these. But yeah, Dignitas has been trending in a very positive direction. Not as strongly as a upward natural progression as a space station, but they have been part of the conversation as top 4 minimum this entire split, which is a really good look for Dignitas. Happy for them. And last but not least, it's the best team in the world. It's K-Corp. I don't know what to tell you. I think Raleigh, in my opinion, is the best player in the world right now. If you guys want to learn about the game, pull up some K-Corp replays and watch any one of these players. I think Atao has crazy, insane pop-off potential. He has the ability to solo carry and really change the game. Raleigh's never going to make a mistouch or a mistake. He's always going to challenge when he needs to. He's always going to be quick to the ball. Basically, he's new gen. He's like Monkey Moon 2.0. He's very efficient. He's very clean, but he still has the mechanics to go and punish you. And then the thing we always joke about, we haven't even talked about Vatira yet. And Vatira is him. Vatira has, in my opinion, had the best split of his career. He looks so polished and so impactful, and he has definitely overtaken some series on his own. Across the board, I think this team is the team to beat. There's no questions about it. We didn't know if they were going to regress or not and how things were going to play out. You're talking the worst they've performed this entire year is second place. Those second places did not come at the major. First place in Open 1, Open 2, second place in Open 3, first place at the major, first place in Open 4, second place in Open 5 to that Dignitas team, and then in first place in Open 6. The team's the best. You don't want to play K-Corp. Everybody is hoping to find them on the opposite end of the bracket. If you can play them early in Swiss, it's great experience. It's great learning lessons. But overall, most people come in with a little bit of it's the big bad K-Corp. With that in mind, a lot of pressure on the team. I think something that's been really cool this season is we have not seen Farah overcook their coach, who is objectively probably the best coach in Rocket League. Last season when he had all that talent, I think he tried to do a little bit too much. I think he put a little bit too much coaching in and tried to manipulate it a little bit. Too much to the point where it actually was a detriment. This season, he recognizes he has 3 talented players that know how to play the game. And the best thing you can do is let them play. Steer it, add some bumpers, some guide rails, do whatever you got to do to make sure that they stay on track. Be that reminder, be that positive reinforcement. But overall, let the guys do what they do best and make sure that they are prepared and ready to go. That is an oversimplification of how much Farah does and how hard he works. Yeah, this major in particular is going to be an exciting one. I think we've got really, really competitive teams. Even the ones that people don't respect are still going to put up a fight. I think at most, if you're a team, like if you're a top 8 team, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 teams in particular that I go, yeah, those are free wins. We should win those 100% of the time. Outside of that, don't take anybody lightly. You should never take anybody lightly, but just saying. It's going to be a doozy. I hope you guys enjoy this type of video. I hope you guys enjoy kind of this general explanation of how the teams got there and what to expect, and some of the cooler storylines and conversations to pay attention to. Let me know what you guys think. Is there any other cool storylines that you think I might have missed? Let me know in the comments down below. If there's a certain player you're really rooting for and why, I'd love to see it. The one thing to pay attention to more than anything, most of the World Championship spots are locked in, except for Gentlemates. Gentlemates needs a 2nd place finish. If they do not make the grand finals, then they got to go through LCQs with NIP. And then GK gets the World Championship spot. It's going to be pretty tough for them. We'll have to see how it goes. Make sure you guys tune in. Twitch.tv/Lawler. We'll be watching all the matches all weekend long with some funny punishments and goofy haha stuff. Maybe some giveaways for you guys as well. So if you guys want to figure out how that stuff goes, like, subscribe, notifications. We got predictions out tomorrow. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.